Tuesday night this week, the association, or the Institute rather, of Electrical Engineers had their annual general meeting. McKechnie is no longer the president, he's immediate past president, but you've been in this position for a while. You must have had a lot of Eskom jokes at your AGM. Bunch of engineers together, electrical engineers, and no power.
Yeah, we had a lot of candles and a lot of lanterns, and at times I wasn't sure whether we were at an AGM or a seance.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I suppose many of your members, given you've got 5,000 members, also either worked or work for Eskom.
Yeah, a significant portion of our members work in the power industry, whether it's for Eskom or in the supplier or contractor side.
How do they feel about the publicity and the mood of the country, which is very anti-Eskom at the moment?
Look, I think obviously the people directly involved at Eskom obviously feel the pressure. So it's obviously not
But they must have known that there were issues.
Look, I think they did. But as we said in the past, maybe Eskom could have publicly said more. The big question is, would people have listened harder? I think the events of the past few months of this year, if they serve one positive purpose, is to focus attention and focus minds and realize that the problem isn't going to go away. You actually have to knuckle down and address it.
It was interesting, Vickers Marais, who was speaking a little earlier, as he was leaving, he said, well, the one thing that we do know about power is that we can fix it. Whereas other problems in the country, perhaps not so surmountable.
We can definitely fix it. But the issue is are we doing the right things at the right time? And that's one of the things that we've been calling for as an institute, is to have an independent peer review team or board set up to actually look at all the initiatives that are in progress, all the projects that are in progress. Are they appropriate? Are all the challenges and constraints being addressed? Are they being done optimally? And to look at it objectively, with a step removed away from the coalface. There's not the people directly involved in doing it.
It sounds like a really good idea, that you've been calling for it now for a while. Why not just go out and do it?
Well,
why not put it together? You're a big institute.
One can't do it, first of all, without government sponsorship in a broader sense, in a political sense, because if you want to do it effectively, you need access to all the stakeholders, the role players, the projects.
You've got 5,000 members?
Yeah, but you need official access to it, if I can put it that way. You need the cooperation. And it needs to be seen as part of the process in order to actually be constructive and to actually address the issue. So we need to get government buy-in to it. So that's the first step.
But why I ask this is that you have been calling since the crisis hit us. Eskom has brought in German engineers. We heard from Alec Irwin on my radio show last night. They've been there. They've said Eskom's not doing too badly, at least with the maintenance side. They've got the French out here. Sarkozy has supplied 5 engineers from the French power utility. So it seems like things are happening already.
Things are happening.
Do we need another group?
Things are definitely happening, but the big question is, are they happening correctly? The electricity crisis isn't just about Eskom. It isn't just about generation. It's a multifaceted problem, and it's at multiple levels in a supply chain. And that complicates things tremendously. So whilst Eskom might be having inputs from the French engineers, from the Germans, that's fantastic. We welcome that. That's a really good initiative. We need to also ensure that all the role players are talking to each other. There's the Department of Minerals and Energy with their national emergency recovery plan, and that team that's involved in that, those task teams. Eskom have got their short-term generation recovery teams. There's measures that are being taken at the distribution level. And we need to take that holistic, big-picture approach as well.
But why is the Institute the right place to put this task team together?
Well, we're saying that as an independent institute, and with the knowledge and expertise within our membership base, we're able to facilitate that. We're not trying to be presumptuous and say, we're the guys who should be doing this. What we're saying is that we can facilitate the formation of this. And we think that there should be local expertise involved. We think that there should be international expertise involved.
Why don't you just do it?
Because we need the government's support and buy-in.
Okay. And who are you talking to in government?
We've been speaking in the last 2 weeks with the Department of Minerals and Energy, because they're the overall ministry in charge of energy in the country, and with the regulator. We have had an initial positive response from the regulator saying they welcome the proposal and they support it. We're waiting for a more formal response from them. we had an initial response from the ministry where they said we've got this task team in place already. And there was a misconception, and maybe it's because we used the terminology of a review task team, and there was some confusion there. So we've gone back to the ministry and explained more clearly what we're looking for, and we're waiting for a...
The point is you want to help. And
we want to deconstruct it. The whole idea of this review team that we're calling for, and we've been calling for this in recent weeks, is to deconstruct it and not to be destructive. There's no point in going in there and trying to just shout the odds and break things down. The idea is that the review team, because they're a step removed from the coalface, will be able to have a fresh perspective, be objective. There's no turf to defend. They're able to look at the issues and identify possible problems and then make constructive suggestions and constructive inputs as to how to address those.
Part of the constructive input would surely to be unpacking why it is that Eskom needs this increase in the electricity price. Again, Vic has said earlier, he agrees with me, says we've been too cheap for too long, we need to understand the realities. And I suppose part of the realities is the primary input costs. Coal's gone up.
Well, coal has gone up. Those costs have definitely increased. But in terms of trying to attract independent power producers and cogeneration, that's been one of the fundamental problems we've had in this country. It's been mentioned a few times, is that our electricity prices have just been artificially too cheap.
So you wouldn't have investment of the private sector?
Yeah, because they wouldn't get a return on the required return on investment. So whilst the proposal that Eskom is putting forward now of this step function increase of an average of 60% is an obviously immediate knock to the economy, and at this particular point in our economy, which seems to be a shrinking economy at the moment, it's obviously not a good time.
But we're not shrinking. We aren't growing as fast as we were.
Well, okay. I'm not the economist, but it obviously has a detrimental effect in terms of the short-term economic effect. But there are other benefits in that by increasing the tariffs sooner rather than later, we become attractive to cogeneration providers and to independent power producers sooner as well.
So a lot of people will be happy to take an extra R5 out of their pocket to go home at night and have the lights on.
Well, it comes down to how quickly can we solve the bigger problem, and we need to address that.
From your experience, the increase in the electricity costs that Eskom is requiring, do you think it's going to have an impact on demand? Is electricity demand elastic? Or demand inelastic, right?
I think that's going to be an interesting experiment, because we've got this ingrained inefficiency because we've had cheap electricity for so long, and it's difficult to change habits quickly. So it'll be interesting to see just how elastic it is, because a lot of the other measures that are being proposed in terms of demand-side management, the rolling out of smart metering and all of that sort of thing, there are inherent constraints in trying to do that quickly in terms of what the market can actually, the supplier market can actually supply, how quickly it can actually be installed. My colleagues in the metering industry tell me that there isn't even yet finalization on what the specification should be. So those things aren't going to happen in the short term, in the next 6 months. So it'll be interesting to see to what extent pricing does affect consumer behavior.
What percentage of the electricity is consumed by individuals, by consumers, by households?
I forget the exact amount, but I think it's somewhere around the 20%.
So it's 80% of it is clearly not consumed by individuals. And
I'm open to correction, but I think that's where the focus is.
My figure was 85%, but that's where the focus of attention should be in the business arena and so on. Has there been enough progress on that side?
Well, I think at the moment business is bearing the brunt of the rationing that's going on. I think we shouldn't, this preemptive load shedding, I think we should call it what it is, rationing.
Yeah.
And we're going to be faced with that scenario for the next 5 years, and because I don't think that from an economic point of view that we're going to be able to solely get by in terms of conservation. So we're going to have this rationing scenario with us for some time.
Well, we know that the mines were hammered to begin with. Then there was a backward step as far as that's concerned. It does now appear that at least there's some prioritization on who's going to get the rationing and who isn't.
No, absolutely. It looks like that.
And that isn't going to be an easy task either for the regulators. Alec Owen last night, the Minister of the Department of Public Enterprise, said by 2010 he reckons things will be behind us. Do you agree?
I think that's optimistic.
Why so?
I think that the rollout of the new generation capacity, the cogeneration, etc., it remains to be seen how quickly we're going to be able to achieve that. hopefully the baseload projects remain on track. It's not clear at the moment. Are they 100% on
We've got to grit our teeth in for a few years. Yes.
So I think that we're going to have to grit our teeth for a while.
Ian McKechnie, the immediate past president of the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers. I hope that helped, certainly helped me. I hope it helped you understand the electrical challenges a little better. That's it from Power Lunch for today, brought to you in association with MoneyWeb. We're now crossing to CNBC Europe for Power Lunch Europe with Louisa Boyson. CNBC Africa will be back 4 o'clock Central African time with regional updates.